Can you hear me now? Whoa, can you hear me now? Let me know. Let me know if you can hear me now. Yeah, I should put up. No sound, no sound. Either my YouTube is bugged or I can't hear you. Okay, no sound. Can hear. Fix audio. All right. There's a bit of a delay, so tell me if you can hear me now. Muted. Testing. No sound. Can't. All right. I think you can hear me now, so you let me know. Yes is so we can hear you is a better comment, so I can understand what yes means. Yeah, let me know. Yes, okay, now you can hear. It's okay. Good, yes. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I didn't click a button. I was supposed to click a button. All right, so let me start again. So, yeah, welcome to the stream, everybody. So if you're watching the replay, I'm going to have to edit this, of course, because they're going to be going... Anyway, all right, sound is back. Okay, good. So, how's everybody doing? Hope everything is good for you guys. Fantastic. Background music is on. Yeah, I got a bit of background music. I should turn it down a little bit, I suppose. Yeah, good. So hope everybody is well. I'm recording this December 23rd for the replay. So I wanted to just quickly get into a subject I thought you might find interesting. End of the year stuff. So, sound is back. Good. All right, so what are the two most interesting technologies, I think, for 2022? There's so many you could have picked, by the way. I may have to do a more comprehensive video where I go into different verticals, different types of tech, and sort of cite the key ones in there. Yeah, imagine going through the whole stream with no sound. That would be no good. That's why I always test, right? So that's why I say test. I want to get feedback, just in case I make that mistake. All right, so yeah. While we're here, I know I see we have some regulars here. So tell me where you're calling from, where you're watching from. From Istanbul, that's very cool. Turkey. South Africa, very cool. Lagos, Nigeria. Hey, good evening, Kevin. Kevin from Florida, how are you? Too much wine there, Stef. Not yet. Next.js and Tailwind. Well, in the tech space, but I'm gonna blow you away. This is gonna surprise you. Anaheim, California, USA, aka Disneyland. Very cool. Wow. Good. So let me just, we got Argentina, we got San Diego, we got from, I don't hear you. Let's say I have begun doing a degree in computing and IT, and your videos have been so helpful in my understanding of it and have passed all my assignments with high distinction so far. Hey, congratulations. I'm glad I could help. Keep the good work, man. Just keep working. From Brazil, Poland, Chile. What else is there? Minneapolis. Everyone hit the thumbs. Yeah, please do hit the thumbs. So, we're about to enter Christmas. Fantastic. I finally, after 1 year, like Moses coming out of the desert, I finally got all the renovations done in my new place. Which means I'm going to have to buy another new place. That's the way it goes, right? No new places for at least a few months. Miami, yeah, very cool. I'm going to be down in Florida starting January 1. I'm going to warm my bones. Getting pretty getting cool. Orlando, Florida here, huh? Very cool. Netherlands, we got people from all over the world, international audience. All right. So, we'll get to the Q&A. What I want to do is I want to just cover, if you can give me the thumbs, that would be appreciated so that people know about the stream. So what are the two techs that I think are interesting to look at? For me, anyway, from my perspective. And I'll go into the traditional development technologies later on, in other videos rather. But for now, I wanted to talk about these two things, which I think you'll be surprised. So number one, low-code platforms and no-code platforms. I think those are very interesting. Now, these things have their roots in the late 1990s, early 2000s. The biggest in the 90s was VB6. It was kind of, I would call that a low-code platform. You drag and drop your UI components. You're still writing code, but you're writing a lot less. That comes to mind. And there's been others out there. What's the name? Adobe had bought this thing called Drumbeat, which was kind of a code generator, low code type of tool back in the 90s. Wasn't very good, except for maybe prototyping. But yeah, so the low code market is exploding, and they are not, let me say this again, just in case you're nervous, low code and no code platforms are not replacement for coding and developers in general, but it's a tool to leverage given circumstances. So I've talked about a few out there. So here's a piece I found. They list just some of them. I have APM, Claris, okay, that's old. Google AppSheet, that's huge. OutSystems, heard of them. Microsoft Power Apps, heard of them, never used. Salesforce. Then you got Wix Editor X. They're coming up with some huge updates there. And there's so many others. I talked about others. So low code is a thing. Again, don't worry about it if you're a coder, your developer. It's not going to replace coders. Just like WordPress did not replace web designers and developers. It just shifts the type of work that you're going to do over to a certain extent. But it's something to consider, especially if you're getting into freelance, or maybe you're a small business owner. For example, I did a video a few days ago where I talked about this platform, but it's a no-code platform, and it's not something I would build an app with, but it's something you could build a branding site very quickly. Let's say you got to put up a site for a conference, bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle, and away you go. So yeah, low-code, no-code are viable tools to consider if you are a productive developer. Remember, developers are not, you're not married to a particular technology. You're not married to a particular language. You're not married to a particular framework. You may work with, say, React for a while, but then you find yourself, if you're a productive developer, you probably find yourself pivoting to different tech depending on the circumstances. So yeah, I'm going to have more on that because I am internally, like, my platform, Studioweb, something we built from scratch, is PHP Laravel application, Vue.js, and it's very, very comprehensive. There's no way, like not even close, there's no way we could leverage low code or no code for Studioweb. But maybe aspects of it could have been done. So I was working with this company. They have a low code environment where you can connect to remote databases and APIs and then manipulate things on the fly very quickly. So you got all this low-code functionality, but you can go in there and write your JavaScript and change things and behaviors. And they themselves, even though they're used by a lot of big players, they would not argue that it's a replacement for software development. It is a tool set that you can leverage. So in that case, with their platform, it's called Retool, and it was to build internal UIs, internal state management, to build internal applications for an organization. Just allows you to build things in a tenth of the time. I also talked about a friend of mine who was actually using low-code technologies and no-code technologies to put together a pretty advanced system to automate their travel business. It's something to consider, something to look at. Again, don't take it as a threat. It's just something to consider. You should be aware as a pro developer of all the different avenues that you have, all the different technologies, when it makes sense to use WordPress, when it makes sense to build from scratch, when it makes sense to use a MVC framework like PHP Laravel or Django versus Flask versus .NET, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all there. When to use a flat file-based system, a NoSQL-based database, or an SQL-based database, and when to use a no-code system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You just have to be aware of the various options that you have there. Yeah, so don't worry about it. By the way, thanks for joining the stream. It's been a while. Thumbs up, if you will. That would be great. It's good for the Google algorithms, Yeah, a little side news. So finally, I'm all booked up. I'm going to be in South Florida starting January 1st. All kinds of stuff. I'm going to be doing a lot more live streaming, I think, down there. It's kind of a vacation. It's a vacation, but I'll be doing streaming on a regular basis if my interwebs and all that kind of stuff works out okay. Yeah. So, yeah, what's the other thing? So what's the other technology? Technology number 2, what I think is going to be something really interesting to look into in terms of development. This is where you're going to get into hardcore programming and development. And this other subject is this stuff here. There we go. Oculus. All right, so why is Oculus, there we go, everybody's favorite company? Why is Oculus, I think, a technology to look into? Because I think that with Oculus, it's taking VR over that tipping point. So my friend bought this, and he said, "Hey, come over, you got to try it out." So I tried it. I said, "Oh, I've seen VR." No, I said, "Come and try it out." So I tried it out, and it's pretty bloody compelling. Now, if you've done Lizard Wizard, it's going to give you insight into Lizard Wizard. It's going to help you understand the difference between the cognitive brain and the lizard brain, and you're going to see so clearly when you use this thing how there is a distinct separation between the two operating systems in your brain. It's fascinating. Anyhow, well, how does this have to do with development, you're asking? It's not about, I think there's huge opportunity in the VR space. Now that I've seen this, and I heard Apple's supposed to be coming out with one as well, it could be, oh, this could be the new smartphone platform. Remember when smartphones first came out in the app stores and people were putting out apps and they were growing huge? Developing for VR, still a little early, but developing for VR for 2022 might be the new huge opportunity for VR-based application. It's really compelling. It's really compelling. In game development, in entertainment and so forth. I think there hasn't been a real huge development, in my opinion, since the first-person shooter, which was Castle Wolfenstein. It's all been iterations of that, improvements on that basic model. This whole thing takes it to a whole different level. So I had to get it, and I'm not a big gamer by any means, but I think there's a lot of opportunity. It could be not for just gaming, but business application, education, all kinds of different things. And I think with this Oculus, which is fairly affordable, relatively speaking, it really makes that possible. So those are two areas. So low code and the VR space, maybe AR space as well. And I think you're finally seeing the hardware that's hit that tipping point that makes it significant. So there you go. Those are my 2 cents on that. AR, VR. So for example, when I was playing with this thing, I put on the boxing simulation game. And I used to box. I've been in a ring like 1,000 times, if not 2,000 times. And I can tell you the AR simulation, VR simulation with this thing, it's like 90% the feeling of being in the ring with a real opponent. It's pretty cool. Web 3.0. How about Web 3? I don't know. I like the concept of Web 3, but I don't know if it's going to really replace Web 2. It has to have something very compelling to do that. Like this is extremely compelling. Extremely compelling. No code, low code platforms where you can get something out in 1/10 the time. That's compelling. It reminds me of an old lesson. One of my uncles used to manage these huge projects for the Canadian government, like $50 million projects. And he used to tell me that for a new technology to replace an established technology, the new technology has to be 10 times better. Now, how you measure that depends on what you're looking at, but yeah. There you go. Stef is buying us all Oculus for Christmas. Something to look at. I'm going to look more into the Oculus development, see what's going on there. Yeah, so Apple's coming out with their own apparently. So with the Oculus, each eye is 2K resolution. You don't see pixels. It's clean. It's not photorealistic yet, but it fools your lizard brain. So I'm doing the boxing game, and I was like, I'm moving, I'm really boxing. It's really compelling. I'm doing this other games, and I put up a video of my friend's daughter screaming and yelling because of the impacts of the AR and VR. Do I have that video here? Do I have that video of her screaming and yelling on there? I think I do have it somewhere. Hold on, Stef, give me a second. There we go, Audrey VR. So let's see if I can find that. So let me load that up. Hold on a second. I got to load a video. So yeah, give me a second. Audrey VR. So this is, I got permission to play this, but this is my friend's daughter here. Here it is. Yeah, my friend's daughter playing a VR game, and she's not lying. This is real.
What the hell is
Are you alive?
Is it the bee?
There you go. So that's my friend's daughter. I got permission. And so she's playing this game in the Oculus, and it's her lizard brain is freaking out. Her lizard brain thinks she's in this dungeon running around. And so it's very compelling. And that kind of stuff, as an entrepreneur, tells me, ooh, there's something here. There's something here. Something to consider. All right. So let's see what we got here. All right, 116. Yeah, if you like this subject, give me the thumbs there. Okay. Web3 is being pushed very hard by the crypto lords. They just want a quick and easy buck. Could be, in all honesty, I've just looked at it in a peripheral way from 20,000 feet. And, again, I don't think it's being a significantly better. I don't think it will replace Web 2, but it could. I have to look more at it. Thanks for the super chat, Michelangelo. I've recently accepted a job as a Salesforce developer. Congratulations. Good stuff. Is this a good technology to invest in 2022? Thank you for all your useful information. Yeah, why not, man? Listen, you get a job at doing Salesforce development. First of all, there's a lot of demand there. Second of all those skills that you're going to develop working with Salesforce is going to be transferable to many different technologies. So congratulations. Good job. Remember, there's this illusion amongst the young nerds that somehow you're going to find yourself coding in a dead-end job. It's not possible anymore, practically. I remember when Flash was killed in around 2011, 2012. Flash was huge, and Flash had a programming language called ActionScript. And ActionScript, very similar to, I would say, JavaScript blend, So all these people who were Flash ActionScript developers were out of the job fairly quickly. But I'm telling you, they were able to pivot into Java, into C#, into JavaScript, into PHP, into Python very easily. It's not a big deal. So the most important thing you can do, Michael, is to take that job, make the money, learn how to be a professional developer. So I wouldn't worry about investing in the wrong technology. It's not possible. If you're a good developer, development is development is development. There'll be opportunities, better here and there, depending on the circumstances, but just take it. Good. Congrats. Good job. What did you score on the Beat Saber? I didn't play it too long. I'm not a big... I just got into the boxing game, and when I saw how much fun the boxing game was, and I was moving around, I was boxing, boom, boom, boom. I said, I got to get this game. So I bought it purely for the boxing game, personally. Purely for the boxing game. All right, so what do we got here? Cool thing about some third libraries, like 3JS, for instance, because the world is already 3D, you can just change the rendering type and suddenly your world is VR friendly. Very good, exactly. See, again, that proves something. One thing I've been telling people for many years now, if you're going to invest in any technology, the web is probably the best because it offers the most flexibility. You can do websites, you can do web development, web apps, you can do responsive website, you can do PWA, you can do VR, you can do mobile. It's crazy. Now you can do desktop with it. It's great. You can do visually oriented programming with Vue and React, or you can do back-end stuff, which is more structure and nerdy stuff. So you got a lot of flexibility. Now, that being said, you're almost good in almost any technology, so I wouldn't be so concerned about it. Lock her up. It's amazing, the experience. Yeah, exactly. So I got in, did the Oculus. I'm talking about the Oculus because I think it's such a compelling platform, not just Oculus, any really good VR. I think this is the first accessible product price-wise and functionality-wise and experience-wise. It kind of takes it to the tipping point. For example, the cell phone, the smartphone. Apple tried to create a smart device like in the 90s. It was called the Merlin, I believe. It was too big and bulky. It was crap. Its hardware wasn't there. But the idea was interesting. But when the touchscreen came about and the processors were fast enough, all of a sudden that became viable. I think that Oculus shows that the whole VR platform becomes viable now. And that's why I think Apple's getting into it as well. So it's just something to look at. So when if you just walk in, I'm talking about the impacts of VR. If you do Lizard Wizard, my course on how the brain works, working with this and trying this out, you see that firsthand. You see how your lizard brain can be fooled into thinking that it's you are on the top of a building, or you are in the ring with a real opponent, or you are traveling through a maze in some catacomb. Your lizard brain thinks it's real, even though cognitively your upper brain knows that you're just in your living room, right? Like my friend's daughter. She knows she's just in the living room, but see how she's reacting because it's so real to her lizard brain. And you start to understand that separation. So I recommend everybody try this out or something similar, something at that level, because you're going to see it's going to change your perception to reality. Besides the fact there's great potential application opportunity there. Hey, Alexander, how are you? Hey, Stef, I've been watching your channel about a year, but first time I caught a live stream. Hey, well, thanks for joining the stream. Appreciate it. I used to do these all the time, but I've been super busy with all kinds of stuff that I wasn't able to get around to it. All right, so let's see what I got. Yeah, good Lord. Response. Do you think pure functional languages have a big future in the web? I think they'll be niche. Unless there's really something compelling. I don't see anything compelling driving them, you know? Let's hit more thumbs up and show some good support for Uncle Stef. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, by the way, I started calling myself Uncle Stef because a bunch of people started calling me Uncle Stef. And since I'm 169 years old, I guess I'm everybody's uncle. So Stef's your uncle, right? So what I'm going to be doing, my mentoring program, which is growing, and it's been about a year now. It's a lot of fun. So I'm moving that over. I'm rebranding that to Uncle Stef. Uncle Stef's mentoring program, as opposed to Studioweb, which is used by all the schools. Anyway, that's just another story. So what else do we got here? It is though that web compilation, blockchain, and VR will make JavaScript obsolete in a decade. I don't know. I don't know about that. JavaScript, listen, let's talk about obsolescence. Things going obsolete seems to be one of the fears of many people new to the game. So let me try to dispel that mythology put out by young nerdlings. Number one, if you look at any of the list of the top 10 languages used today, I think about 9 out of 10 of them, if not all 10 of them, are at least 20-year-old languages. JavaScript's like 25 years old. Java's 25 years old. Python's like 20, 30 years old. C++ are like, what, 40, 45 years old? SQL, not a programming language, but it's a database language. That's like, what, 40, 50 years old? You get the idea. C# is like 25 years old. Is it 25 years old? It's like 1999. It's okay, 20 years old. You get the idea. All the top languages today, they're very old technologies. You see, I understand where this illusion comes of the dead-end tech, because in the 90s, when this stuff really started to climb, when all these, a lot of technologies did fall by the wayside because, it was still early days. In any technology, whether it be, IT, information technology, development, cars, whatever, planes. The early days, you see a lot of change, rapid changes. But over time, the rate of change kind of flattens out, meaning you don't see much change over time. Why? Because you reach a point where the technology is pretty solid, right? So I think we reached that point, especially in the web stack. The web stack reached that point when HTML5 became the de facto standard. That's like 2012, 2014, depending. After that, the web is really, really, really stable in terms of the core tech. Yeah, you got new libraries, but they're all iterations of each other. Like React, Vue, Angular, they're different, but they're very, they're iterations. It's like competing against Porsche versus Audi versus BMW Coupe, or whatever, SUVs. I remember SUVs were first coming out. People were trying different things. First they would just put they would just drop an SUV type of, anyway, I forget the details. But once the platform was established across the major manufacturers in terms of SUVs, they're all very similar, right? In the early days of SUVs, they were really tippy and problematic. But now it's kind of stable now. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. All right, let's continue. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me know. I'll try to answer as many as I can. How are we doing for time here? Not bad, 25. Salesforce is one of the highest paying and most hated programming jobs. Weird mix. Well, that's not a weird mix, Morris. One thing I always teach is that a job that is perceived as fun usually gives you less pay. And a job that's perceived as hard or undesirable or dangerous gives you higher pay. So it's not surprising. Why land a dev job in 2022? I need your wisdom, Uncle Stef. I think you will. You just got to keep working on it. Babylon.js is a great 3D JS library. So there you go. We got several of them, right? How long should a beginner spend learning CSS? I feel like you can spend years on CS if you want. I just want to get started on JavaScript. Just do my CSS3 Pro course, and that's all you need to know, and you can move on. You make a good point, though. Mr. Web Developer here, or Mrs. Web Developer, makes a very good point, because in all these technologies, whether it's CSS, maybe exception of HTML, with CSS, HTML, JavaScript, Python, Java, C#, whatever, you don't have to learn all of it. In fact, you're only going to use a very small subset of any of these technologies. Trust me. I wrote Java code professionally for years. I was a real high-level Java programmer, but I only used a very small part of the Java world, if you will, the API, the Java libraries. A very small subset. I didn't use Swing and AWT much. I did a little bit of I/O, a little bit of threading, but most of the time I was just doing Java web with Pojos. Yeah. Do you think Django will be the web development number trend? Web development number trend. I know what you mean. What you mean by that question? Do I think Django is going to replace the world? No. I think it's going to be split amongst the different camps pretty evenly. It's going to be pretty stable. Oracle career. If you like that kind of development, a lot of times when you're choosing a job, it depends on a tech rather. It will imply a certain type of work, a certain type of company. So if you're working on Oracle, you're going to be working for very large organizations. If you're working with MySQL, chances are you might work for small to medium-sized organizations. Not that big companies don't use MySQL. I'm sure they do. But Oracle, because of the licensing costs, it's pretty much, last time I checked, something that only large businesses would want to pay for. Do you recommend a remote job for a junior developer? Why not? I recommend for a junior developer that you do any job. Number one goal right now is to get some experience under your belt. Thank you for the advice earlier today on Flutter and with Dart. You can, if in fact, use PHP, so I think it's going to roll with that for now. You can, if in fact. Okay, so I haven't looked at whether or not you can write your Flutter code in PHP. I somehow doubt that, but maybe you can. But you can definitely interface with it. Interoperability, meaning having language or technology A or system technology A communicate with system B. That's the interop. This is something that used to be a huge headache, but now with APIs and JSON, it's pretty doable now. Newton, not Merlin. Yes, you're right. You're right. So the Apple PDA from the 90s was called the Newton, not Merlin. Morris is correct. You are correct, sir. You are correct. Show how successful it was. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, I would love to try it and be out in space. Insane. Well, yeah, that's it. That's what's coming. Like I was saying, for me, what sold me on it, I decided to buy it. If you're just jumping in, I was talking about what I think are going to be two very important technologies in 2022. Number one is going to be no-code and low-code platforms and how you might integrate those in your normal development. It will not replace development, but it's something to consider. We are starting to use it here to a little degree with Studioweb. And I have friends who have they're ready to check out software they spend hundreds of thousands on to developing over the years to replace with no-code technologies and low-code tech. It's just something to consider. Yeah, the other thing I'm talking about is AR. So Oculus is, I'm not saying this is the bee's knees. Right now, this is the best. All things considered, why is it the best? Today. And it will soon not be the best, but right now it is because it's not that expensive, relatively speaking. It's lightweight, it's comfortable, it's wireless and battery powered, and it takes you into a whole new world. So I think that AR and VR development is something that could come of age today. And I think that AR and VR platforms might be the new app store type of opportunity for developers. So you may want to look into that as well. Yeah. Do you think Rust will rise in this next year? I don't know. I haven't been keeping my finger on the pulse of the Rust world. I don't know. I think it will not go away because I understand I know people who are highly successful, highly capable C++ developers. They tell me they would rather do Rust than C++. I don't have a personal opinion on it. I'm not a Rust programmer, but All right, so what Mr. Darshi says, I started with computer science engineering this year. I'm confused between competitive programming and development. Okay, stick to development. Forget about competitive programming is gimmicky. It's like playing a dating game. Why don't you just go on dates? So just get into real development as quickly as possible. As I like to say, using the boxing analogy, you want to get into the ring as soon as you can so you can learn how to fight. You want to start programming for real as soon as you can. So competitive programmer, people will just want to hide from the real world. They'll argue, it helps you out. What helps you out most is actually building things. So build things. Why do you think Handspring failed despite starting a revolution in phones industry? I don't know. I would have to look at that. I don't know. Bing, bang, boom, Stef, your uncle also joined Stef's camp. Yeah, if you want to join my boot camp, my mentoring program, link below, check it out. It's my most advanced and comprehensive training. It's kind of like the equivalent of a $10,000 and a $20,000 boot camp. But I would argue mine's got more advantages. But you want to check that out if you're interested in learning how to code and much more. Good evening. Oh, by the way, this is the official channel salute. My bokeh game is a little weak tonight. It's not the best bokeh. But all right. Good move on the rebranding. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so with the mentoring program, I put it under Studioweb because the mentoring program was kind of an alpha thing. Now, if you don't know, I have a mentoring program where you learn all the code and how to get jobs and start business and managing projects, and you learn about your brain, you learn soft skills, and there's much more coming. We have live Zoom meetings and coaching sessions. Anyway, so I ran that under Studioweb, which is my platform that I developed working with schools over the last several years. So now I'm moving into a new brand. Everybody was calling me Uncle Stef, except for my ex-girlfriends. They were calling me other names, but generally the public on YouTube and elsewhere would call me Uncle Stef. So I'm calling it Uncle Stef's Bootcamp. And it's going on UncleStef.com. So that's coming out soon. It's rebranding, shifting over. Thanks for the feedback on that. Yeah. John Cormack, founder of ID Software and CTO of Oculus, is the reason I got into programming. Love the guy almost as much as I do you, Mr. Stef. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. It's high praise. ID Software, man. That's like, that's Doom. Doom, Wolfenstein, I think they did that as well. And Doom, that was like huge. JavaScript, it is what got me into programming because it was easy to see the results quickly in the browser without needing to download anything. Exactly. You make a good point, Skarub. When you get, there's many ways you can look at programming languages. There's two different basic ways. You can have the compiled languages, and then you got the non-compiled languages. What the hell is the word? I forget all of a sudden the term for it. JavaScript is not compiled. You write the code and it's just processed as it goes. So I'm going to remind me the term. Now the thing with compiled languages like C#, Java, kind of more real compiled languages are like C, C++. You write all your code, then you got to run this code through a piece of software that crunches it down into a much more compact format, and then that is run. Problem is, you got to crunch it down, so you got an extra step before you can see your code run. Whereas with JavaScript, it runs right in the browser. There's no compiling, so you see it right away. Boom. There's good and bad to both, but I won't get into it here. But yeah, exactly. Visual, it helps. We're visual creatures, so we respond to it. Exactly. This is true. When you hit to be 169 years old, that's where the aging process stops. It definitely stops at 169. And what happens, strangely enough, on your dating profiles, you start regressing in age for some reason. It goes that way. Well, I got a super chat, so I'll answer my super chat. Oh, okay, no question. Well, thanks, sir. Appreciate the super chat and the coffee. So let me go back up. Let's see. Yeah, they are over 20 years old. He's talking about the languages, I think. And they're still being used because they're still being developed and updated. Exactly. I think that's why languages like JS won't be replaced anytime soon. I don't think any of the top 10 programming languages will be replaced anytime soon. So I think there's probably a lot of new people on this stream. So let me just recap very quickly the subject. Very quickly, you can watch the replay. What I'm talking about here are two technology categories, if you will, but I think are going to be important in 2022. They're going to come of age even more so. First of all is the no-code and the low-code platforms like the Webflow and the Wix and Retools and so many others. There's many out there. They're not going to replace development, but there's something that developers should consider and look at for their projects. One of Uncle Stef's rules of development is that don't look for code to write. Number one. Number two, when you start a new project, first thing I do is I go out there or people working for me go out there and see what else has been done already, see if there's something we can leverage. And in fact, the very first version of Studioweb, which is my educational platform, and I've spent a lot of money and time developing that over the years, but before we started writing from scratch, I looked around at other solutions that are out there in terms of learning management systems. And I found something, I think it was called KOMODO. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And so we developed a very first prototype of the concept for what became Studioweb on top of Moodle. And it did about 25% of what we wanted, not in a good way. And then we looked at how the code was written. It was so badly written at the time. It was just not flexible enough for us to meet our needs. So we had to write from scratch. But that's after I explored every other opportunity. So yeah, let me see what I got here. So what's a good stack with Python and Java? Wow. You mean web? Well, if you're doing smaller projects, Flask. If you're doing bigger projects, web, Django. I don't know what you mean by Java. You want to communicate with Java? Is that it? There's many ways you can do it. If you want to have an interop communication between a Java-based application and a Python, I would just use JSON objects to share information, or have a database, have a relational database, whatever it is, SQL, whatever, and just communicate with that database, whether you have your Python here communicating with the database or you have your Java here communicating with the database. Yeah, so there you go. So I was talking about no code, low code as one thing that's to look at in 2022. The other thing I would look at is VR and AR. So I just went over a friend's house, tried out his Oculus. I was blown away. And I had tried AR, VR before, like the PlayStation 1. And this is like, why is this a game changer? I don't think it's like, it's a game changer because the cost versus the implementation quality is there, meaning it's not so super expensive and you can get some really compelling environment. So I think once every long time you see this, like last time we saw something which I think will be equivalent of this type of device was the smartphone. So it's a big significance, something to explore maybe, to jump into. What do you think of Solidity and the other Web 3.0 techs? I don't have a hard opinion about those. I think that 3.0, I don't think it's going to take over. But it could, but I don't think it's going to take over. Hey, it's Dave Love. How are you? Hey. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you guys dropping on. Yeah, so how is the AR and the VR compelling? Because it's emotionally compelling. Now, if you've done my Lizard Wizard course, link below, you'll learn about the two operating systems between your ears that operate your brain. And what you're also going to learn that's profound, that the brains don't communicate with each other very quickly, typically. Well, it's an oversimplification, but they don't typically. And when you watch, when you do a VR, a game or a simulation, it's, as far as your lizard brain is concerned, it's the real deal. It feels 100% real, even though you know in your mind that you got just goggles on. So I was just playing this video of my friend's daughter playing a VR game. I'll play it again so you can watch this. I got permission, don't worry. So resume last video. All right, this is it. This is real, not faked, playing a VR game.
What the hell is
Are you alive?
That's real. So when you see somebody respond to a platform like that, you know that's compelling. You know there's opportunity, business opportunity there, software development opportunities there, right? Even the smartphone, people used to wait out in line, but they weren't screaming and yelling in response to, oh my God, the iPhone. Okay, maybe some people were, but that's compelling to me, right? So check it out. I went out and bought it, and I'm not a gamer. Yeah, I'm not a gamer. How would you recommend progressing from freelance website development, Webflow, Shopify? How would you recommend progressing from freelance website development, Webflow, Shopify? I'm not sure what you mean by that question, Ramsey. It depends on the project. Some projects, Webflow might make sense. Some projects, Shopify might make sense. Some projects, maybe a combination of the two might make sense. You know what I mean? So just like on a lower level, for example, meaning closer to code, like my Studioweb platform, very complex platform, we still use WordPress for a blog. We don't use, we had our own blog. We wrote our own blog software with Laravel, but I nixed the project after a while because I said, just use WordPress. We're not a blog development company. So there you go. Hey, Stef, I have an interview in 2 weeks. Any advice? Yeah, learn about the company. Make sure you understand what they're doing, what their thinking is. Understand the technologies they're using. And so that you can go in there with intelligent questions. Try to see if there's any information about the company, Scotty, in terms of what they check for in their interview process, and just try to bone up on that. What's going on? Somebody's texting me. Give me a second here. Hold on. What's going on here? All right. Okay. All right, nothing. Sorry about that, guys. Hold on. No, that's not it. Is that it? Trying to find where you guys are. Oh, there we go. All right, so what else is up? What do you think about a career? What do you think about a career path in health integration development? Yeah, there's a huge future in that. A huge future in that, if that's what you like to do. Do you think tech giants will try to sabotage 3.0 because it will not let them track the user? I don't know. I think certain tech companies might. Like, Apple doesn't base their products on tracking. Microsoft does to a certain extent, but they're really invested in tool development. So it depends on the company, I suppose. Is the MERN stack able to produce scalable, huge web app? Just about any of the stacks these days can produce huge, scalable web apps. Most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time in software development, the scale really happens to be in the database. That's where it really counts. Scud Kid says, how do you feel about Elixir and Phoenix Framework? Functional on the web is rising like Go and Elixir. How do you feel about them? I haven't used them, Scud, so I don't know. Again, they could be fantastic techs. I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to replace anything, to be honest with you. Maybe in certain specialized, but if it's something you like and there are jobs in it, then pursue it. I have, what's time I do it? Okay, so we're getting close to an hour. I have foundations in Java, PHP, HTML, a little CSS. How long would it take to learn JavaScript? Would it be better to start with vanilla JavaScript or Vue? Just do a quick course on vanilla JavaScript. Just burn through it. It should be really easy for you since you know Java and PHP. Take my JavaScript course. Just take it. You'll learn it super quick, and then jump into Vue. You know, you're going to be writing JavaScript, so you should know what it is. You know, you should be again. Just take a small JavaScript course. You'll burn through it, so you understand a little bit about the idiosyncrasies of the language. Oh, by the way, I've been taking vitamin D, or as they say in Britain, vitamin D. Just because it's good for your immune system in general. So vitamin D and a little bit of zinc. And let me tell you, since I've been taking it the last few days, my cognitive capabilities have returned to when I was a young 90 years old. It's unbelievable. I am able to speak more fluently. It's kind of taken me back several years, so it's made me sharper. I may have been vitamin D deficient. So yeah, I'm feeling much better. Something to look at. Is OOP worth spending time on since modern languages have dropped classes, e.g. Rust, React on the front end is kind of functional style programming? You got to learn the basics because Java, PHP, C#, Python, so many others. To a certain extent, JavaScript, they have OO in there. And a lot of libraries are OO based. So yeah. Java or JavaScript for learning data structures and algos. Both are fine. You know, why you want to learn data structures and algos? Do you want to become an AI developer? Do you want to become a game engine developer? Because if you're not going to do any of those type of development, if you're going to get into web stack, and you don't need AI. Live long and prosper, Krista. Welcome to the stream. Live long and prosper. Yeah, well, it's actually, we say code long and prosper, excuse me. But that's good. I appreciate the sentiment. Anyone has a plan until you get punched in the mouth, to use a boxing analogy. Yeah, pretty much. That's why when you're doing development, any type of application, especially your alpha and your beta, you don't want to spend too much time trying to write the perfect code. You just want to get the code out as quickly as possible so you can start having people use your application. Once you figured out your use case, meaning people have used it and you got a lot of feedback and you've refined it, then you can start locking down your code, infrastructure code anyway. I am an electrician with no coding experience, but this shit is fascinating. Very cool. Yeah, it is. I can see why you like it. For me, coding, I started writing code in 1994. And for me, coding has always been a superpower. Even if you're not going to be a coder, it's always been a superpower. Dr. Coding. Now I'm going to have to get Dr. Coding. Anyway. Okay, I got some super chats. What's a good stack? I got that one. Super chat. Appreciate super chats, everybody. Saw a junior dev ad, 5 years experience needed. Laugh out loud. Yeah. You got to watch it with these HR departments, human resource department. They got, yeah. What happened to advanced.com by Eric Jordan's Uncle Stef? I thought Flash was forever, but HTML5 came out and destroyed everything I have believed in. Yeah, well, that's why you got to not be married to tech. You should never know what happened. What killed Flash you could argue Steve Jobs decided to take a swipe at it, and he pretty much destroyed Flash. So yeah, but yeah, whatever. You just pivot out, no big deal. Do I have any more super chats? Oh, I had another one here. Well, I appreciate your super chats, guys. As a full stack developer, besides Rust knowledge, what else do you need to get into XR? Thank you for your content. XR? You mean VR? Well, that's what I'm going to look more into that in terms of what. What you need to do, how are they exposing it? I guess it would depend on the platform. I would imagine for Apple, when they come out with their set of VR, AR tools, you're probably going to be doing this with Swift. Facebook, I don't know. I have to look. I'll have to see what's going on. I didn't know about vitamin D. Yeah, apparently vitamin D, and I'm not a medical doctor, but I was doing some research on this. Apparently it's crucial to your immune system. Apparently, it activates something like 10% of the cells in your body or something. It's crucial, so it's good to get it in. And like I said, I've been taking just a short while, and I noticed a significant improvement in my cognitive capacities thus far. Is there much value in obtaining Linux certifications as a starting dev? No, not too much value. Do you want to be a Linux admin, or do you want to be a developer, right? Java is the best first language to learn, in my humble opinion. Optimal point between being not too far from the build cycle, such as Python, and not too hard to code, such as C++. You could argue that. I cut my teeth really hard on Java, although I learned JavaScript first. No, I learned Perl first. Perl is in JavaScript and VB script, but I did a lot of coding in Java. That's where I really I raised my game in terms of my sophistication was with Java. But you can do it almost any language, really. Steph, scroll down. My message is okay. It's up to you. Look down. Super chat. Java is the first best language. Okay, so we got that. I dig Swift. Augmented reality AR does not make you sick, so it will be more popular in VR. Could be, but I'm not super successful to getting ill. But with the Oculus, I didn't get ill at all. It was pretty cool. So they may have figured that out. I don't know. I have to look more into it. It's good when you're not getting enough sunlight. I take it because I was always tired. So do you find, Melvin, that since you've taken your vitamin D, that you're not as tired anymore? You have more energy? Let us know, Melvin, if that is the case. That's interesting. Pearl Gang, yes. Let's see if I missed anything. Here we go. I take vitamin C and D daily. Heads up, long-term overdosing of vitamin D can be bad for your kidneys. 5,000 IU is good. Also, if you take zinc, you should also take magnesium and copper to keep balance. Okay, there we go. What else do we got here? Vitamin D, everybody knows that from Hungary. Really respect. Okay, very good. Yeah, I would eat eggs and steak. I think eggs is good for vitamin D, if I recall. But anyway, I'm taking a little supplement. I've noticed the difference. Pretty interesting. What are your thoughts about the log4j vulnerability? It happens. That's the downside about open source. When it's open source, the source is open, so you can argue that people can exploit vulnerabilities more efficiency. So Melvin says, I have a lot more energy with vitamin D. So there you go. I've experienced the same thing. If you watch some of my previous streams, I was kind of like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Whereas this one, I'm more like younger Stef. So yeah, I certainly looks like I had a vitamin D deficiency. If your inner ear does not match what your eye sees, your body will think it's poison and you will barf. Huh. And there you go. So I'm sure. Anyway, so far so good with me. I'll let you know. What do you use the Oculus for? I just bought it. Actually, somebody gave it to me as a gift. I just got it. I got this because I want to kind of explore it more, understand the platform from a user, and also because I wanted to do the boxing simulator. I used to love to fight. Too old to fight now, so I thought that's cool. Any thoughts on Gatsby JS, haven't used it. Are you cold? Yes, I'm a little cold because I shaved my head and it's freezing out and it's cold. So a lot of heat comes out through the head, so I just wear a hat. Best language for automatic testing. Oof, I don't know. I think it comes down to the frameworks that you use, more or less. If I know what you mean. Are you talking about unit testing? Do you think the current bubble in tech jobs, everyone learning to code, doing boot camps will lead to lower wages and less available jobs in the future? No, because right now, the amount of jobs available is increasing faster than the amount of new coders. So that's going to take a long time. No. So I was wondering, sorry, man. Yeah, I'm just a little, like I said, I'm a little cool because it's cool out. But that's nature. I live in Montreal, Canada, so it's quite cold here. Do you recommend getting the Mac Air? Do I recommend getting the Mac Air? Yeah. 100%. Where's my Mac Air? I don't know where I put it. I have a Mac Air for travel. It's my favorite computer. I like the Air. So I recommend it for development. I would get 16 gig of RAM if you can afford it. And try to get maybe, at least 256 or 512 gig hard drive. But yeah, Mac Air is great. Why do you eat eggs for vitamin D when you can stay in the sun and take supplements? Apparently, well, I'll tell you why I eat eggs. I like eating eggs, number one. Number two, my Chinese doctor from Beijing, Dr. Yu, who was also medical doctor, Western medical doctor, and a properly trained Chinese traditional doctor. And he's from Beijing University, used to do, in the days, 30 years ago, he was doing research on how using Chinese traditional medicines, mainly the herbs, he used to tell me the herbs were most important, combined with Western approach, produce much better outcomes for cancer patients and so on. And he used to tell me that a lot of the nutrients found in the foods, even extracted into the vitamins, you don't get the full effect because the vitamins need to interact with the other elements in the food. So I would say do a mixture of both. I got another one here, another super chat. All right, super chat Thursday today. I appreciate it. I am a developer, but I think my skills are better suited as a BA. I just don't want to feel like I'm giving up long term. What do you recommend? I'm a developer, but I think my skills are better suited as a BA. What do you mean a BA? You mean a bachelor's of administration, or you're talking about what do you mean by BA? Should a programmer use Linux? I got the HTML6. I don't think so. I think HTML5 that's it. HTML5 is it, and you're fine. I respect you, but why are you freezing? You have money, and I have too. When I shave my head, I just prefer wearing the hat most of the time. Also, it's actually better for your health to not be super warm inside when it's super cold outside, because the difference between the cold outside and the warm inside, if it's too much, you get sicker more often. So I kind of try to find a middle ground that way. I love eggs with sour cream mixed in. Oh, yeah, that's very good. Everything is code. Yeah. Business analyst. Oh, business analyst. Okay, BA. Then do that. If you got good interpersonal skills and you understand the coding end, then you'd be a very valuable player there, because you can be the interface between the business people, the non-coders, and the developers by being the analyst. So yeah, if that's what's for you, then do that, man. HTML5 killed Flash. It did indeed. Business analyst, business of art. Okay. Bugger all. All right, guys. Ooh, it's been an hour. Any other questions? Let's see if I missed anything. All right. If you have any other questions, you let me know. Last minutes here. One of my uncles does a lot of Ruby programming. What methods do you recommend to save him from his terrible life choices? There you go. What's going on here? Your thoughts on blockchain development? Niche. Niche. All right, what's going on here? No worries, no worries. Business analyst is a boring role, he says. I don't know. The code helps you sleep better too. Indeed, it does. Yeah, it's all about balance, you know. All right, from France. Bonjour. J'espère que tout ça va bien avec toi en France. Web 3.0. I'm not against it. I'm not necessarily for it. I don't think it's going to take over, but I could be wrong. Hey, Stef, happy holidays and thanks for the good info. Yeah, no problem. What do you think of starting your career freelancing rather than jumping into a job? Why not? Why not? Whether you get paid to work for somebody or you get paid to do, whether you get paid to do projects, just go for it. Yeah. All right. What else do we got here? Retake your basic courses before taking your pro courses. The pro courses are just they're the foundation courses with some extra material in there. If you did do the foundation courses, you don't really need to take the pro courses because you got the foundations. As you know, you learn to learn on your own. So there you go. All right, everybody. It's been an hour. I'm going to let you go. I hope you found this stream useful. If you did like the stream, please give me a thumbs up. And that's it. So if we don't talk before, I don't know. Happy holidays if it's your holiday season. Happy Merry Christmas if you're into Christmas. And that's about it. All right. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next stream, and I will play. Is my music playing here? Oh, it's my music. It's true, I do have a Discord. I don't know if people still do that.